Paint on a component by clicking or dragging the mouse. December 15, 2022. This is the code snippet of an update version of a Java program that I created yesterday after managing to understand the syntactic usage of MouseMotionListener. For the previous few months, I have been working primarily with ActionListener, KeyListener and MouseListener, which are crucial to the development of the most complicated Java program that I have ever created, namely Windows 95 Simulator. Nevertheless, these three types of listeners are not adequate enough for simulating Microsoft Paint, which is a simple raster graphics editor included with all versions of Microsoft Windows. I found out that MouseMotionListener is the most suitable listener for the purpose of simulating the generation of graphical elements in Microsoft Paint. Next, I am going to illustrate the implementation of painting by clicking or dragging the mouse, with an example of the code snippet embedded in this article. In the beginning of an updated version of this Java program, the classes Color, Graphics, MouseEvent and MouseMotionListener of the java.hot package, as well as frame and panel of the javix.swing package were imported. After importing all the necessary classes, public class followed by the class name was typed. It should be noted that I have deliberately avoided the usage of the extends keyword after the class name. As Java does not support multiple class inheritance, the syntactic usage of the extends keyword is restricted to a certain extent. I have seen quite a few code snippets, in which extends panel is used after the class name. I consider this as a bad practice to avoid in the first place, especially when the entire program per se contains tremendous amounts of code. If the panel class is inherited with the extends keyword, then it is not permitted to inherit other classes simultaneously. The workaround around this potential issue should be to create multiple classes, but I consider that as an inefficient practice. In the next paragraph, I am going to expound the syntactic details of the code snippet in the body of method main. In the beginning of the body of method main, the annotation at suppress warnings serial has been automatically generated by clicking a quick fix of add a suppress warnings serial to panel when the tooltip message the serializable class does not declare a static final serial version with field of type long popped up upon hovering the mouse over the yellow underlined panel constructor. In the body of panel constructor, I type the built-in method public void paint component graphics G, followed by an opening curly bracket, after which MouseMotionListener was added to the panel object with the this keyword. The syntax of adding MouseMotionListener is to type the this keyword, followed by a dot, add MouseMotionListener, an opening parenthesis, the new keyword, MouseMotionListener, then followed by a pair of parentheses. Next, after an opening curly bracket in the body of the MouseMotionListener, the annotation at override is optional but helpful for overriding the abstract methods mouse dragged and mouse moved in the MouseMotionListener interface. It is possible to auto-generate both methods simultaneously by clicking the quick fix of add unimplemented methods when the tooltip message the type new MouseMotionListener must implement the inherited abstract method MouseMotionListener.mouseMovedMouseEvent pops up upon hovering the red underlined MouseMotionListener constructor. Both methods should be public and declared void, each of them followed by a set of parentheses in which MouseEvent and the instance of MouseEvent denoted by the default letter E should be typed. The graphics class followed by an object name should be assigned the value of getGraphics, followed by a pair of parentheses and a semicolon. It should be noted that it is not permitted to instantiate the type graphics, as it is an abstract class. Using the object name, it is possible to set the color of the paint component, draw various shapes such as rectangles and ovals. It should be noted that methods such as drawRect, drawOval, etc. are used to draw hollow or empty shapes, whereas methods such as fillRect, filloval, etc. are used to draw solid or filled shapes. The parameters x, y, width and weight should be passed to such methods for drawing various shapes, but the parameters of the x, y coordinates of the 2 points should be passed to the method drawLine. It should be noted that at the end of abstract methods of an interface such as MouseMotionListener, a closing parenthesis followed by a semicolon should be typed, but at the end of the panel constructor, only a semicolon should be typed. When the panel constructor was completed, I set the panel object to a size of 500 pixels for both width and height. Then, I instantiated a frame object, to which I added the panel object. I set the frame object to a size of 500 pixels for both width and height as well. Then I set the title of the frame object as MouseMotion Paint without extends in order to highlight the deliberate avoidance of using the extends keyword. Finally, using the setVisibleTrue method, The frame object containing the panel object with a paint component in MouseMotionListener is displayed upon running this Java program. The output of this program is a painting canvas, on which it is possible to generate graphical elements in an arbitrary fashion by clicking or dragging the mouse, with each motion of the mouse generating graphical elements of a distinct color. This is a major breakthrough for developing my Windows 95 simulator, as it is essential to the simulation of generating graphical elements in Microsoft Paint. In my opinion, among all the applications included in Windows 95, Calculator and Notepad are some of the easiest ones to implement and simulate, whereas Paint is one of the most difficult to implement and simulate. Additionally, I consider this as a good practice for intermediate programmers with some programming experience. The key points of this Java program are summarized below. Key points: Paint component graphics G. Graphics G equals get graphics mouse dragged mouse event E, mouse moved mouse event E, e.gets, e.getty, import java.hot.color, import java.hot.graphics, import java.hot.event.mouse event, import java.hot.event.MouseMotionListener, import javax.swing.frame, import javax.swing.panel. Public class MouseMotion Paint without extends. Public static void main string, args. Add suppress warnings serial. Panel equals new panel. Public void paint component graphics G. This dot add MouseMotionListener new MouseMotionListener, add override. Public void mouse dragged mouse event E. Graphics G equals get graphics. G dot set color dot blue. G dot fill oval E dot gets, E dot getty, 10. Add override. Public void mouse moved mouse event E. Graphics G equals get graphics. G dot set color dot magenta. G dot draw a line E dot gets in screen. E dot getty in screen. E dot gets. E dot getty. Panel dot set size 500. 500. Frame equals new frame. Frame dot add panel. Frame dot set size 500. 500. Frame dot set title mouse motion paint without extends. Frame dot set visible true.